Welcome back to the third part of this series where I see if I can beat Final Fantasy X-2 using the worst Dressphere combinations. So chapter 3 begins with the disappearance of Nuge and Baralai and Gipple, and that has sent Spira into chaos. But before we do all that, first things first, we need to head over to Mount Gagazet to collect our trainer Dressphere, which means we can actually start doing the run. Yay! Before this we've been using the gunner, and the trainer, in my opinion, is just way worse. So we head over to Mount Gagazet, speak to Kimahri, and grab the trainer Dressphere. We immediately equip that to Yuna, and then I'm like, while I'm here, I might as well do the mission that is on offer. So in this mission, we need to stop this Ronzo called Garrick, who's trying to kill the Gordo or something. And before we get there, we have to climb up the mountain. And I have this fight here against a Gemini and this little robot-y flicky thingy. And I've sped it up really quick just to show you now that the battles are much harder. The gunner is very, very missed because the trainer here can't do very much. We've just got the trainer class, so we have no abilities, and we just have this dog, and the agility is super low, and the attack power is not very high, and we have no cool techniques like trigger happy. And you can see here the Gemini is just wrecking us to pieces. Like we stand no chance, and we do actually get a game over against a normal enemy. So that is our 5th game over now. So this was a nice reality check to me to make me realize that I need to step up my game. So we retry and we actually kill the Gemini this time.
Ronzo, hold anger no longer.
We've made it to the top of the mountain, and now it is time to stop Garrick from going to battle with the Gordo.
Typical Ronzo.
Good point, but I was talking about Uni.
I mean, if I was being spoken to like this, I'd be angry too. Pain and Rico are literally like, yeah, typical Ronzo being angry. And it's like, well, yeah, if you're telling them that they're angry, they're gonna get angry. Anyway, the battle begins, and I've sped it up more than I usually do. And the reason for this is because this is by far the longest battle that I do in this entire game. This battle went on for ages. I think it took me like 30 minutes in total, and I did not expect it to be this hard. But these guys cast Mighty Guard, so they have Protect, they have Shell on them. You can dispel them, but he will just use Mighty Guard again. They can get rid of your MP, they can cause loads of status effects. Luckily, they are weak to Darkness, so as long as Pain is using Darkness Dance, they can't do too much damage to us, but we also cannot damage them. Mighty Guard also casts Regen on them, and our attacks are barely doing enough to get through the regen. As you can see there, Riku using her black magic skills is doing like 46 damage, which is terrible because regen can heal them for like 157 damage, and Yuna's attacks are not doing much better either, only averaging out at about 115 damage, and the regen goes off quite a lot. So you can see the problem we're having here. Our damage output is not penetrating their healing output. Also, they keep using blind on us, so we have to keep curing the blind. And every time we have to cure blind, that wastes more turns, which means their regen can get more off. So I guess the thing to do would be to dispel it, which we can do, but then that uses MP. They also have an attack that reduces our MP to 0. So we have to keep restoring our MP, getting blind off of us, doing damage, casting dispel. And it is just insanity. It's so boring because there's no real challenge here. It's just very, very long and boring. Luckily, Pain has the ribbon technique, so she's immune to all status ailments anyway. But blind doesn't affect her because she doesn't attack. It's just whenever we get blind on Yuna, which happens more than I would like it to. I didn't actually know this, but now that the run is over, I've realized that Pain's singing techniques can stack up. So if I were to have kept using the battle cry, which increases our strength, it would have been easier, but I didn't know that because the game doesn't tell you that. I assume that you use battle cry once, it gives you a little boost in attack, and then that's it. I didn't realize you could keep stacking it and get like massive amounts of attack or defense or any stat that you want. So had I known that, this would have been a lot easier. But I have trimmed this fight down a lot for you guys because it went on way longer than this. Once the 2 guards go down and we're left with just Garrick, it actually goes on for so long that he runs out of MP, and that's the only way we manage to win the fight, is because he can no longer cast Mighty Guard on himself. So yeah, that battle, that was awful. It was so boring, so tedious, but we got through it. Before continuing our side quests, we give Pain the Shining Bracer accessory, which gives her a constant protect effect. And then we head off to Luca, where it's time to play some Sphere Break. That's very disturbing. We're playing against a dog for some reason. And Sphere Break is actually quite fun, even though it's like maths related. Like once you get the hang of it, it's kind of cool. And there's some cool garment grids we can get.
You're going down.
After defeating 3 opponents, we then have to challenge Shinra, who's the champion. And we lose to him, and he's like, no, I want to keep the sphere grid. It's my Dressphere. And it's like, okay, you don't even fight. You literally just sit on the computer all day. What are you going to do with a Dressphere? But it's fine. We don't need that Dressphere. We got what we wanted, which was the garment grid, which gives us Mug, which is really cool. And we equip the garment grid to Yuna so that she can now steal items as well as attacking, which is awesome. And we do eventually change this and give it to another character, but not quite yet. Here we are in the Mihen High Road against these enemy robots. They have a lot of health and they are weak to water, which means we have to suffer through Riku saying this over and over and over again until the mission is over.
Catch the wave! 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 Catch the wave!
And at this point, I'm starting to lose the plot just a little bit because I'm noticing that the trainer is so glitchy. Every time we go to attack, it will just start running in circles and attacking thin air. And it takes like twice as long to do an attack because your ATB gauge is not filling up because your dog is too busy running around and not attacking. And then the fight is, it's just too much. It's just too much. It's very frustrating. But we do the mission. We head on over to LeBlanc's palace to do some more stuff or something. I don't know. Who cares at this point? I'm so frustrated and tired with this game. I just want it to be over, but we have to listen to like this.
LeBlanc, there's nothing to worry about.
What the f is going on in here on this day?
What are you doing?
Something that always really bothered me about this game, and I know it's very nitpicky, but LeBlanc lives in Seymour's old palace, and I think it's a good fit. It's like extravagant and crazy, and it matches LeBlanc's personality, you know, and it's okay that they're reusing assets, but like, why are there still pictures of all the old Guados on the wall? And how did LeBlanc even come to purchase this palace? Like, it makes no sense. Is she like super rich? Why does she get to live in Seymour's old place? And you'd think her moving in with her sort of extravagant style, she would, you know, take down some of the pictures of the old maesters and put pictures of herself or Nuja. Her bedroom looks like it belongs to her. It's got all of her emblems on it and things like that. So why does the rest of her palace not?
Chasing after spheres if my Nuji Wooji isn't there to smile.
But anyway, back to the story. LeBlanc is a bit depressed because Nuja's gone missing, and Lagos wants to take us to his chamber to show us this special sphere that might be of use to us. And the voice actor for Lagos is very odd, and I've just realised who he sounds like.
Meet us in our room. We'll have a little screaming.
That was smashing!
After messing around with LeBlanc and Lagos, I then head to the Calmlands where I pick up these sprint shoes, which is an awesome accessory that I give to Pain, as it increases her agility and also allows her to cast haste, so just gives her like a little bit of extra utility. And now it is time to head to the Cavern of the Stolen Faith, where we are tasked to save these tourists that have gotten stuck in the cavern. And the fights here are actually quite difficult. I didn't expect this. I've got this battle here against Crimea and the giant Flan. And the Flan is pretty easy. We can put him to sleep. But the Crimea seems to be immune to like everything. And they're also doing like a lot of damage. So I start off by trying to get rid of the Crimea.
Stop saying that!
Since I know that the Flan can just be slept, I think, okay, we'll focus on the Crimea. And turns out he's very powerful, and he kills Riku and Yuna, which is an issue because Pain is stuck in her dance and then she can't do anything until her dance is over, and then she gets KO'd and we have another death on our hands. We retry the mission again, and it's quite a long mission. You have to save quite a lot of people, and then eventually you end up in the Cavern of the Stolen Faith area, where you obtain Yojimbo, and of course Dark Yojimbo is waiting for us. And I did not know what to expect from this. I figured, hey, we defeat one Dark Aeon, we defeated Dark Bahamut, so this should be a cakewalk, right? And not quite. It uses Kozuku. Nope. It uses this attack which drains our MP, which is a bit of a problem. And luckily his other attack barely does any damage, especially with Protect Up, so I'm feeling pretty confident that we can beat him. He also has a dog, much like Yuna. That's cool. Maybe they can be little dog friends. They don't seem to even acknowledge that each other exist, which is a shame, I suppose. So yeah, he then uses his Zamnato attack, which, and if you remember this from the previous game, this attack instantly kills us. So I'm thinking, surely it's not going to do that again. And thankfully, it doesn't. But it does reduce us to 1 HP and 1 MP. Like, what are we supposed to do against that? That's insane. Because like, as soon as that happens, we have to fight for our lives, but he gets in more attacks before we have a chance to even do anything. So I don't really understand how you're supposed to do this fight. That just seems impossible to me. You'd have to have your potions ready as he does his attack, and like, to plan that is just nuts. So yeah, you can see here we're struggling to get everyone back on their feet, and it's looking like we're gonna get a game over. And of course we do. And I'm like, it took me so long to get here. There's no save point nearby, and this is an optional boss. So I decide to leave because I can't be bothered, you know. I could waste loads of time trying, but I don't need to 100% this game. If it's not necessary, I ain't doing it. So we move on and make our way to Besaid, where Shinra is setting up some Spheres. And he does this all over Spira, and it's basically just like a little Skype device, and he puts it on the ground and we can watch what's going on. And it's one of these weird little plot points it adds in midway through the game, and it kind of goes nowhere. You can watch these Spheres, but like, what's the point? You can just go and visit these places.
Oh, I can see Yuna.
Obviously, we have to throw in a gag about brother getting a boner over his cousin, because that's what this game is all about. And yeah, she gives him a little wave and that sends him skyrocketing. He wants more hand action, as if he doesn't see her waving every day on the airship.
Who is that? His name's Becklum. They say
Actually, I think you'll find his name is Q, and he happens to be the star player of our goalkeeper only team in Final Fantasy X. And if you want to check out that video, the link is on screen right now. Go give it some love. Regardless of this man's name, he wants to burn down the temple because there are fiends coming out of it. And Waka's like, no, you can't get rid of the temple, it's our tradition. And he's all like, well, we don't need them anymore, Yevon's a lie, right? So it's up to the Gullwings to defeat the fiends and save the temple.
wouldn't want you to overdo it, Daddy.
Daddy?
And surprise, surprise, we have to fight Dark Valefor. It's kind of weird that we fight Dark Bahamut first, and he's like one of the easier ones because he's one of the last Daeons you get, and he's a lot tougher than the rest. As you can see, our dog is glitching out straight away, which is great. And then it misses. So I start off each fight just by increasing our defenses and strength and things like that with Pain. And then I'm using Holy Kogoro from Yuna. And this is really good. It does holy damage, and it just does like a nice chunk of damage to the enemy. And that, coupled with Dirty Dancing, which makes sure that we always do critical hits, means that we are maximizing our damage output. Dirty Dancing plus Holy Kogoro is what saves us through a lot of fights. It's like the best way we can do damage because we don't really have many other options. Riku is also there to cast fire whenever she can, but most of the time she's just going to be healing in this battle because Valefor does a lot of damage very quickly as well. He's a very fast enemy and he gets out a lot of overdrives. You can see here his first one, Energy Ray, doesn't do too much damage to us. We can survive it quite easily. But it's Energy Blast that I'm scared about because that one I know can do a lot of damage. So I'm using Carnival Can, which doubles our max HP. And I'm using that instead of Dirty Dancing, just until I know how much damage we are going to take from Energy Blast. You'll also see that Yuna keeps missing a lot in this fight, because the trainer accuracy is not very high. Sonic Wings knocks our MP, which is quite frustrating, so we only managed to get in a couple of Holy Kogoros before we're just using Yuna's basic attacks again, which don't do too much damage, but at least it's quick and it doesn't use any MP. And now you can see here Energy Blast is coming out, and it does a lot more than Energy Ray does, but not too much. We're also missing quite a lot of attacks, so I use Pitch Perfect to increase our accuracy, hoping that Yuna can land all of her hits, and then I go back to using Dirty Dancing because I'm confident we can survive any attacks now, and I just want to get this fight done. So for the last stretch here, I go ahead, use Carnival Can, and just start attacking with Yuna. He gets in another Energy Ray, of course, but I ain't too bothered, it doesn't do too much damage to us. And then after a couple more hits, we win the fight. this game is rather predictable and a little bit repetitive. It's like, yeah, you go to Besaid, you fight Valefor, obviously you go to Kilika and fight Ifrit, and then of course after that we go to the Jose Temple to fight Ixion, and it's like, we could have seen that coming, that's very obvious. And I know this game has a small budget, blah 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 blah, but it is a little bit of a cop-out that they just make you fight the same enemies over and over again in Chapter 2 with LeBlanc, and then in Chapter 3 you're just fighting all of the Aeons again. It's like, can we get something new? Like, just a few things. It's very rare that we get any new enemies in this game. And it's like, they just sort of had the assets and then sort of had to try and make the storyline fit around it, which means the story wasn't the priority, just making money was, so they just reused stuff. I don't know, you know, it is just a sequel, but like, it kind of ruins the lore of Final Fantasy for me, and almost kind of cheapens it in a way for me. We had such a long goodbye with all the Aeons in the first game, and now they're just back again and are evil, and it's like they didn't give it too much time to develop. It just sort of happens because they wanted to have you fight them, because they had the assets. And yeah, it just feels kind of cheap to me. Let me know what you guys think in the comments about this. Do you think it's cool that they brought back the Aeons, or are you on my side where you think it's just a little bit lame? Right, rant over, let's get on with the fight. So Ifrit is weak against ice because he is fire, so luckily in the last battle against Valefor we learned Kogoro Freeze, which does like physical ice damage to an opponent and has a chance to freeze them, but most bosses are immune to that part, but still doing ice damage is nice. So Yuna is mainly going to be using Kogoro Freeze, and then with Pain we're just using her to boost all of our stats and give each other regen. I gave her a garment grid that gives her regen so that she can just have a little bit of extra utility. And then Riku is just going to cast Protect and Shell on all of us so that we are taking less damage. Because once again, Ifrit gets in quite a lot of attacks and is quite a powerful foe. And we don't want to die because as soon as we start dying, we start losing. So you can see here, all I'm doing with Pain is boosting our stats, using all of our stat boosting abilities, and then using Kogoro Freeze with Yuna several times just to do more damage. As soon as I feel like we have enough stats boosted, I then change to use the Dirty Dancing dance from Pain. As you'll see here, Kogoro Freeze does over 2000 damage when it's a critical hit. Pain hadn't used her Dirty Dancing technique yet, but seeing that number I was like, yeah, we gotta start doing some critical hits because that's pretty powerful. 2000 damage at this stage in the game is nothing to sniff at. So you'll soon see here that we use Dirty Dancing, and now our attacks are going to be doing more. And this combo is awesome. Like I already said in the last battle, now that I've discovered this, it kind of carries us through the rest of the game and made me realise that actually this playthrough is definitely possible with Dirty Dancing. It's a very, very powerful dance. But now that the battle is over, it's time to learn more about Yuna's hole.
Another hole. The hole's...
No, the hole's...
a great hole.
That's true.
The holes.
Yes, deeper connections.
Oh, that is deep, Yuna.
An Aeon?
Yeah, Riku, an Aeon. Why do you sound so confused? Like, we've fought 5 of these already. Yes, there's another Aeon in the temple where you find the Aeon. Like, duh. Why is this such a surprise to you? This game sometimes is just ridiculous. Like, who wrote this? Why didn't they just make them go, oh my god, here's another one? Like, it's stupid, but like, why do they make us seem shocked that there's an Aeon in the temple where you find the Aeon in the first place? As if we haven't just been to every other temple where the Aeons are and found an evil Aeon. Like, duh. But like, whatever. I don't know why I'm getting so mad at this. I'm just frustrated because this chapter is starting to drag and become very boring and predictable. Nothing has really happened except going to the temples and fighting. And it's just like, I want better from this game. I want something fun and interesting, and this chapter is not giving it to me. Anyway, sorry, this fight, the strategy is the same as always. We are using Holy Kogoro this time and Dirty Dancing, which is doing like around 1700 damage, which is like really, really nice. Yeah, Aerospark is a bit of a problem. It does a lot of damage, and I can't really tell if it's magic damage or physical damage, because Shell and Protect don't seem to protect from it very well, so who knows. But aside from that, we're looking pretty good. We have Protect on, we have Shell on, so nothing can really hurt us too much, apart from the Aerospark and its Overdrive, I suppose, if it ever gets that off. We run out of MP very, very quickly with Yuna. Because Holy Kogoro does 18 MP, and the trainer doesn't have much MP because they're not really a magic using class, it makes it a little bit tough. But the trainer does actually learn a technique that is half MP cost. It takes a very long time to learn it, but as soon as we get that, we are looking very good because that just sorts us out immensely. I think it costs like 200 ability points or something to get half MP cost ability, which is like ridiculous. That's one of like the highest in the entire game. But it's very worth it once we learn it. Now Ixion is using Thor's hammer, and this is their overdrive, so I'm expecting big damage. We do have Shell on, so I'm not sure if it's going to kill us, and okay. That's fine. It doesn't do too much damage. That is with Shell though. I think without Shell, we would have been in trouble and this would have been tough. Obviously, our dog just runs around in circles like it always does because it's stupid. We keep missing as well. And Aerospark comes out again. Again, it's like, I'm not sure if it's protected by the Protect or by the Shell. But I believe that Ixion is one of the more defensive Aeons, especially compared to Ifrit and Valefor, because it's just taking a lot longer than the other fights. But luckily he doesn't do as much damage, it feels like. I feel like we struggled a lot more with the damage in the other two fights than we do in this one. Maybe we're just stronger, I don't know. But yeah, his defense is higher because our Holy Kogoro is not doing as much as it used to. And it's just got higher HP points as well, because it seems to just be taking a little bit of a long time, but I'm not worried. I feel like this challenge is definitely doable now. Now that I understand these classes a lot more and what they're capable of, it's definitely looking like this run is going to be a success, and I'm very happy for it. But will it be easy? I'm not too sure, because the difficulty does ramp up quite a lot when we get to the end, and I'm not doing a lot of the side content, so when we get to those last few bosses, you're gonna see how underpowered we feel. It is definitely a challenge, I'll say that. So although it seems kind of easy now, the challenge will ramp up in difficulty as time goes on. But yeah, that is Ixion defeated. Hallelujah, we have killed 3 of the Aeons, and now it's time to find another hole. Oh my gosh, more holes. And just as our heroes are peering over the hole, they notice that Ixion isn't actually dead, and it actually comes into the room and explodes on them, causing them all to jump. But Yuna can only jump one way, and she decides to go straight for the hole and falls to her death.
Oh, I feel so bad for you. Are you okay?
Just kidding, she doesn't actually die. She gets greeted by Barreleye. Oh god, what a great thing to wake up to. And they are going into some other big hole inside the hole that leads to another hole. Yeah, they're in the far plane, which is where this hole leads to. And Nuge and Gipple and Barreleye are all down there, and they're like, oh hey Yuna, did you jump in the hole too? Here's some spheres that mean something to do with plot. Give it to Pain. We were friends once. That's a plot point. Pain is so underused. She's like friends with these guys or something, but like they never give us, again, an incentive to care about that. But yeah, they've all decided to team up and go into the hole to find Vegnagun, because these holes need to stop, man. There's just too much hole going on. But now Yuna is all alone in the dark, but there's a little figure that keeps whistling at her, and she's like, Tidus, it must be you. I'm gonna follow you. And this light takes her up, and then all of a sudden she's out of the hole and she's back in Bevel. Yeah, she fell in at the Jose temple, but then she came out in Bevel, which must mean the holes are all connected.
Yes!
Oh my gosh, I'm really on the edge of my seat. I cannot wait for the next chapter when we find out more about the holes and what the boys are up to in the holes. And I'm going to stop saying holes now and leave it here. Thank you guys so much for watching. My name's been Jamsack. See you guys next time.